Welcome to TLC for the Soul podcast, where soul meets spirit. You have entered into sacred space. I'm your host, Tammy Lynn Chambers, and I'm here to help you shine. Now let's get going on this podcast journey. Hello, friends. Hello. Welcome. Trying to find the perfect location. I don't really know. I was sitting somewhere and then some bug was trying to bother me. Welcome in. Welcome in. Welcome to Bringers of the Light Sunday. Hello. Happy Mabon autumn / spring equinox when we're recording this. As I wrap us all in love light and light love, inviting in the guides who overlight TLC for the soul, Archangel Michael, Archangel Metatron, the Pleiadians, all my TLC for the soul guides, welcome in. If you're playing with us on podcast land, you can also see us on the magical screen on YouTube, on my TLC for the Soul YouTube channel. Links to everything I talk about are always in the show notes. I don't know, just hanging out here on Sunday. Thinking about the week ahead, and we're going to read the next chapter in Flying Potion, our channeled story of this now. We're only on chapter 2. I think it's going to be some sort of a little short story, so grab yourself something to drink. I just feel like based on the channeling, it's going to be this week of like, well, first of all, we're in between. We're in the eclipse gateway, and we're like almost halfway in between 2 eclipses. So we just had the Pisces lunar, and we're getting ready on October the 2nd to have the Libra solar. Yeah, the magical dots. And I think what's happening this week is a lot of this like just living life and just trying to seek out the magic in the moments. And okay, this is starting to annoy me. It's all gonna see whatever happens during the show is part of the show. Like this thing doesn't work, and it's just like 3D life. I know I have like a lot of like 3D things I have to accomplish this week. And I feel like, you know, I'm not going into all the astrology aspects because I'm not an astrologer, but I think Venus is changing signs and going into Scorpio, and Mercury I thought was moving signs as well. And I don't know, it just, when I feel into it, it just feels like a week ahead of just like, if you don't work to find the magic somewhere, then you're just going to maybe feel like the magic's not really there, so to speak. So if you're new here, settle in. This is how we work things at TLC for the Soul. I'm an author, artist, and master healer. Everything we do here is just meant to uplift, inspire, motivate, help you on your journey while we have like a magical fun together, finding the magic in the mundane, doing healing work to help you clear your energy, uplift your vibe. A lot of it done through my magical prose. I'm an author. I've authored fiction and nonfiction books. All my ebooks are free to read. Apple Books, Google Books, Barnes and Nobles. I'm a Smashwords is my ebook publisher. I've got a link to them, but you can find me anywhere. Just search out my name, Tammy Lynn Chambers. I don't have anything in paperback book right now. I pulled all the paperbacks because I'm redesigning them. But ebooks and many stories so far are on audiobook. You just have to search in Spotify. There's playlist. What is that for the audiobooks? Oh, I'm looking at this ambience thing, and there's like a rat that looks like he's asleep. That is bizarre. Huh. I've never, but a rat doesn't have long ears like that. I don't know what that creature is. So maybe there's going to be some of that this week. We've had those weeks before where it's like, you get distracted by shiny things. And now there's like a wand hopping across the screen. I don't even know what I was just talking about. So maybe it's going to be one of those kind of weeks where you're just like, you need to maybe ground a little bit and do some 3D stuff to help yourself stay grounded. In the behind the scenes and under the covers, there's all sorts of stuff going on. But I think the propensity this week could be to be like, what do I want to say? I don't see much evidence of anything happening in my 3D world, so maybe the magic isn't happening, maybe what I want isn't coming. All those things we tend to go into sometimes. And we have to I feel antsy too, like I want to do stuff. Like I want to move forward, but I can't. So you're going to have to find a way to channel that energy this week, that I want to move forward, but I feel like I can't type of energy, and find ways to motivate yourself, I guess, or to stay motivated. And we did have the big post eclipse show where we did channel, a lot of stuff was coming up, and I'm not going to go into that whole show, but we said we were going to check in later this week, which would be today, to see how everybody's doing. And I know personally, I feel a lot better since that moment that I recorded that. A lot of clarity and a lot of shifts since the eclipse. But how about we start with cards today? I just want to pull a few cards. So the way we do this, if you're new here, is, like I said, all my books are done via automatic writing or channeling. And so they always are written with the intention of motivating, just having fun, having, magically infused moments in your day. A lot of the prose in the books and pretty much any content we bring onto the show is done via the channeling through my guides, through my higher self. And it's meant to have special meanings for you, just like a tarot card or an oracle card reading. But we do it in a different way. We do it through the books and the chapters that we bring in on Bringers of the Light Sunday. And there's all sorts of stuff here on the channel for you to use. If you have resources that you need, we've had quite a few new followers join us over the past 30 days. I think we've bumped up to by 40 people joining. And you'll know if you've been here for a while, that's quite a lot of people, because sometimes we could sit for a whole year and not have anybody join the channel. So we have 40 new people. I hope they're people and not bots or whatever, but I guess if they're a bot too, I don't know, whatever. Why do I even care about that? Why do I care what he, she, they, them, bot, starseed, wizard? Okay. We're going to use the Final Rose Tarot. Just get a couple of cards about the week ahead. It's such a gorgeous deck. It just really pops on camera. And then we will read the chapter that I channeled this morning for this week's energy. And it's kind of just a little odd. I don't know. And then we'll play with the metaphors in there and what they might mean for you for the week ahead. So let's just get a couple of cards. Anything, Spirit, you want to tell us about the week ahead? One card and another one sticking out. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Let's see how these are going to pertain to the chapter. So if you're not watching us, if you're just listening to us, you're going to have to listen to us with your master senses, right? With your third eye and your clairsentience and your clairaudience. And when we're here with you, whether we're on camera or not, or whether we're audio or just, audio and visual, whatever, other things are happening behind the scenes and under the covers. Like I said, I mean, the light language through my voice, the inflection, the aura of the channel is meant to invoke and induce healing within and around you to help uplift your spirits. And there's so many guides surrounding us here, and call in that magic for yourself. Many of our guides here on the channel want to be more widely circulated, and they like to be used. And when there's guides of the week or guides of the month from my box of spirit guides, you're welcome to call those guides in with you and play with them for a day or an hour or however long you want. Okay, the 2 cards we got for the week ahead. The first one out, the 17 has been coming up all day today. 17, the cocktail party. Is this the star in the... This might be the star in the major arcana, because this is a tarot deck. Here, let me just look. Yeah. Hope, infinite possibilities, renewal, and elevation. So this is the equivalent of the star card. And then the other card that came out that was sticking out is the cliffhanger, which we have gotten before. I think that's the Hanged Man, but I don't, I haven't memorized all my pending. Yeah, the Hangman. Ha! I love it. See, what did I just say? We've got the star and the Hanged Man. So what did we just say? We said this week is going to feel like one of those where you're like, is anything really happening with my goals and my wishes and things I want to manifest? Is stuff really moving forward? And I think there can be this feeling of like, nothing's happening. I might have to freak out. I might have to freak out. And I'm looking past over here to my calendar, which I can see from here. And I have this whole week. We have a last quarter moon on Tuesday, but I have this whole week marked as packed with power, which means I think there's just a lot to do. I have so many projects and not enough people to do them. Like, it's just me. And we will be heading into that eclipse window starting on the weekend, because the eclipse is on the 2nd, which is a Wednesday. By Sunday, Monday-ish, we're already going to be feeling what's going on with that Libra solar eclipse. And it's in Libra. Libra is the 7th house in astrology. That's the house of relationships. It's all about upgraded relationships, new relationships, the things you always hear about, out with the old and in with the new. Check out on your astrology chart, like, what house does Libra fall in for you? I think it's 10. I think the eclipse is going to be at 10 degrees Libra. What house is 10 degrees Libra for you? My Libra is in my 7th house, and the 7th house is the house of relationships and all of that. So I have double. And I think that I heard that this eclipse is also aspecting the South Node right now, which is in Libra, which the South Node is all about endings. And I believe also, if I didn't have a chance to look before this show, but this ongoing like kite formation that we've been talking about, I'm going to link. I put stuff in my, I put links out there. And on YouTube, I put stuff in the posts area, but I don't know if anybody ever really looks at that. But it's like the community post area. So if I'm linking to other things in YouTube, that's the way you can do it, is in the community posts. So there's a really good video by the sister of Jenny, who's Moon Magic Tarot, who I like to watch her channel. And her sister is an astrologer. Jenny's a tarot reader. And she just did a really good, very easy to understand video about this kite formation that's happening with some of the outer planets. And it's happening between like Pisces and Libra, the formation, the points on the kite. And it's supposed to be aspecting these same points over the next couple of years. So we're going to continue to talk about this kite, and I will, if I remember, I'll put up, I think her name is Jocelyn Florence. I'll put up Jocelyn's video, so if you want, you can take a look at that. Okay, let me just see with my guides. Okay, they're saying chapter. So maybe it's supposed to be a shorter show today. Well, I have to suss out the chapter stuff. So we are reading from our newly channeled book. It's not even a book yet. I guess maybe it'll be a short story. This is Flying Potion. The other thing I will do too, once we have like 2 or 3 chapters of anything that we're working on together or that I'm working on, I will try to post those as an audiobook too. So if you weren't here last week, you didn't hear chapter 1. Now you can use these as standalone chapters. But if you want to hear that, we'll go ahead and maybe tomorrow we'll put the audiobook chapter up. So when we last left off, we had Abigail in the first chapter. And the way we're going to do this, we're going to read the chapter as I've channeled it in. Then when I'm done reading it, if you haven't done this before with us, then we go back and the guides have me pull out any metaphors as they might pertain to the week ahead or key points or special things. But you listen with your master senses. There may be things in the reading that I don't touch on as a collective message, but they may have a special meaning for you. So when we last left, we had Abigail all sad that, life was just kind of boring, and Dakar, her beloved, wasn't around. She was in Rockaway Point at her bakery crust, and this is all from our Bringers of the Light series of books. I don't know how many Bringers of the Light books are out there now, 5 or 6, I think. And Abigail and Dakar, some of our main characters, they're not even characters because that makes them seem like they're not real. To me, they're like spirit friends. They live in Rockaway Point, Tessa Lock, up in the upper northern parts of the UK, somewhere on the coast, somewhere it's just an etheric city. Dakar was in Tessa Lock at the Black Tongue Inn, and he was all like they work for Bringers of the Light headquarters. So Bringers of the Light is like me, it's like you, it's it's our moniker here at TLC for the Soul for like light worker and star being and wizard and witch and shaman and fairy healer, whatever name you want to give yourself, dragon mother. And he was on assignment, so their boss, High Court, Bringers of the Light HQ, had Dakar on some special assignment, but he was just like bored. He was reading a book, a leather-bound volume. So Dakar had been in the Toasted Marshmallow Suite of the Black Tongue Inn. He'd been reading a leather-bound volume he'd found on a bookcase in the room called Flying Potion by Mindy Smatherton. And he said something about the title had intrigued him, which is the title of our book. But so far it had been a dreary story about a girl who wanted to fly through the night on her broom. And for 72 pages, all she could muster up was a deeply chilling cat who had red eyes and the broom. And so he got mad. He's like, oh, this book, and she can't even say her spells correctly. And he was kind of being courted by the girl delivering his dinner up to his room, Angelica. And he was like, no, I love Abigail. He didn't tell her that, but in his mind, he's like, no, Abigail. And so he pinged her via mental telepathy, and he said, do you want me to come home to you? And, she was like, well, why wouldn't she say yes? And so as he gets in his car to go back home the 25 miles to Rockaway Point, because Tessa Lock and Rockaway Point are sister cities, there's a very determined witch high on Flying Potion following him home. And that's where we step into chapter number 2. Chapter number 2, I didn't look this one up either. doing my homework. But it's called It's Only You, but EWE. So isn't a U, is that like a female sheep? I guess it's another name for a sheep, a female sheep. So so that intrigues me. I just have to go down the rabbit trail with this one for a minute. Sheep, spirit animal. In the spirit animal kingdom, when you come across a sheep, it normally represents childlike and innocent element of yourself. That's kind of boring. Gentle. It's time to be more gentle with yourself and the world. Sheep as a totem animal belongs to those who always appreciate the small things in life. I just think that's this week ahead. The other thing when I think about sheep is it Pluto in Capricorn right now? It's like, just keep going. For a couple more months, Pluto is in Capricorn. That's all about, how bad do you really want this wish and desire? Are you willing to keep going? Are you willing to keep striving for it? Are you willing to not give up? Are you willing to persevere? The other thing I thought of when I thought of sheep was at night, like counting sheep, like 1 sheep over the fence, trying to sleep, 2 sheep over the fence, 3 sheep. And there was something to like about building blocks and like, just putting 1 foot in front of the other, 1 foot in front of the other, and soon you'll be. Is that from like Rudolph? Okay, hold on. I'll just do one more of these, like. What is that? Oh, okay. It was from Santa Claus is Coming to Town. So I don't know what that is like. Maybe it's a call out this week to a little bit of nostalgia too. Like, it's the equinox. It could be spring equinox where you're at. It could be autumn equinox. I know here it's autumn equinox. And so I'm pulling out all my favorite, Halloween movies and autumnal books and card decks and all that. And just getting a little nostalgic and trying to get my son to go. Spirit of Halloween opened in Fargo, and it's our annual thing we do. We go to Spirit of Halloween together, and he has not been available to go to Spirit of Halloween with me. So not when I need to go, because I like to leave early and go get out there early because it's a long drive. And he's like, I just can't make it. I'm too tired. Whatever. So I don't know. I'm telling you, mundane. All right. Stop going down the rabbit. I want to go down the rabbit hole. See, I think this is going to be a runaway with the Fae week for me. All right. It's only you. Abigail decided she would try again. She placed the broccoli casserole back in the oven, but this time, instead of feeling lonely, she dreamt of the love she felt for Dakar and her mom and her friends. She took out her kitchen wand, a tree branch from an oak tree, and waved it 3 times over the casserole. By the power of love in me, she incanted, this magical dish will set you free. Bam! Like, what is it? Who's the guy that does bam? Emerald. Magic infused, love felt, spell cast. Now let's see what becomes of it. Abigail decided to try an experiment. She would set the casserole as the dish of the day. Then she would watch who chose it. And then she would keep an eye on those persons to see what became of them after eating it. Typically, these spells manifested within 48 hours, so it would be like a weekend experiment, and it would keep her from feeling so lonely at the moment. She was missing Dakar, his touch, his smell, the feeling of his physical self next to her. She missed her mom, who was off somewhere on a never-ending vacation, the way her mom would bake for her and tell silly stories, and her mother's potent magic, which could make anything happen for the better. And she missed her coven, who all seemed to be out on some adventure of their own right now. But hey, stop worrying yourself. Rainicord flew in the back door and perched atop his little aviary area. Say that 3 times fast. Aviary area. Abigail was thankful for his presence and protection. Rainicorn, sensing a shift in the outer worlds, could tell that some of this angst was bothering his favorite witch. He flew to her side and looked up at her. He threw his own little magical spell around her and hoped for her happiness. Abigail was starting to feel better. When she radiated her kindness and enthusiasm towards others, then she took the focus off herself, allowing her guides to come in and assist. It wasn't long before things started to look up. And look up she felt she must do. She decided to get some fresh air and take a little walk. The casserole had 45 minutes left in the oven, and her little garden behind Crust was the perfect place to clear one's vibes. No sooner than she had stepped outside than she felt a weird energy around her. No, it wasn't hers. It was something or someone around Dakar. They were so intricately woven together that often his energy fields bled into hers. There was a commotion at the front of Crust, and she went back inside to see what had happened. Two people were waiting for the shop to open, probably just wanting a morning coffee and one of those heart-shaped pastries that Miranda had made last night before they closed. She looked at her watch and decided she might as well just open up. It was only 10 minutes before they officially opened anyway. No need to make the pair wait any longer. She flipped the sign to open and unlocked the door. The broccoli casserole timer went off, and she excused herself while the couple looked the menu over. Miranda arrived. See all these things? Miranda arrived, put her bag in the back, and tied her Make My Day apron on. She took the couple's order and started to make the chai teas. 2 broccoli casseroles, Miranda said back to the kitchen. Well, and then Abigail's next 48 hours was set. She'd watch out for this couple and see just what magic the casserole held in store for them. And right about 7:30, a car pulled up in front of Crust. Dakar unfolded himself from the tight interior, wondering why he always chose a car that had low ceilings and limited legroom. Maybe time for something different, he thought, but he didn't have time to think long about it. A broom touched down behind the bakery, and a witch stood up adjusting her skirts. The broom was tucked safely behind a hawthorn tree, while one Mindy Smatherton puckered her lips and tousled her hair. Time to get my man, she thought, to no one in particular. But someone had heard her spells cast on high, and this time they had wings to fly. Be careful what you wish for, her familiar Mr. Sixpacks said to her mind. She cut him off with a swish of her hand. She would deal with him later. For now, the only man she had ever loved was going to be hers. And for that, she would have to do something about that perky Abigail smile. Mr. Sixpacks, I have no idea what he is. I didn't ask. When it came through, I was like, oh, what kind of familiar is that? It's like, you'll find out later. So it's kind of interesting. We're going to dive into this here. Chapter 3, though, is Broccoli Has Wings. So maybe things are starting to continue to look more up and up and up, up and up since that eclipse where I just felt like, what? So I do feel like just looking at this chapter, what we're going to do now, we've had fun with the words, fun with light language, is just looking at any metaphors that are anything else that we haven't already talked about in the cards or what we talked about earlier. But I do feel like with Abigail and Miranda, it just feels like there's a bunch of like, I'm making the broccoli casserole, I'm putting it in the oven. But the last time she made the broccoli casserole, she was all like, oh, Dakar, and I'm lonely, and my mom and my coven's gone. And it had I think in chapter 1, it said something like the broccoli casserole just fell flat. Something was wrong with it. It lacked pizzazz. It had fallen flat, and she knew she hadn't worked her best magic on it. So this time she's trying it again, and instead of just like ho-hum, she's trying to think good thoughts. She's trying to make it more fun. I try to do this like as much as I can remember to do it. Sometimes I don't always remember, but I will get like my wand. I do have a kitchen wand. It actually is from an oak tree. And I will, I will make enchanted food. I've told you guys this before, and some stuff I'll tell my son, like, do you want to try this? And he'll be like, is it enchanted? I'm like, sometimes he wants it, sometimes he doesn't. So she enchants this broccoli casserole, and she's given herself like her own little bring her to the light assignment to kind of see who eats it. And then maybe she'll just see like, how'd that spell work for these people, So I don't know how she's going to do it. How's she going to do it? Is she going to follow them around? Kind of creepy. I think she's going to do some sort of scrying, and so maybe we'll have an opportunity to do some sort of scrying work. I don't do a lot of scrying, typical, like put some water or crystal. I do have a crystal ball or like sit and scry into it, or I typically don't do that. But okay, so enchanted food. So just finding ways to make the everyday more fun. And this has been a big message Spirit's been giving. I've been hearing other way showers talk about it too. It's like, things may be dreary in certain areas of your life. And sometimes when there's a lot of things that you don't want to do, a lot of times that's because those things are you repaying karma. Those are the ways that you're repaying any negative karma that you might have. So sometimes you don't have a choice on some of these matters and you have to do things you don't want to do. And it's usually because you're repaying karma for something you did in the past towards somebody else or something else. Pay attention to those, take a look at those and see what those might be. And then just ask Spirit to help you. Instead of saying like, why is this happening to me? Typically those, why is this happening to me, are either some sort of big soul lesson or you're repaying some sort of negative karma. Okay, so she's only got 48 hours to watch these people and see what happens. So she's got these two that came in and both ordered the broccoli casserole. Rain Accord is her Raven familiar, so he's trying to help. So we've got familiars coming in. We have the sheep coming in, spirit animals. Work with your guides, work with your spirit animals. I always pull a spirit animal for the week or two, or I like to work with a lot. So I've got there's 2 spirit friends energetically bound to this rose quartz heart. This is part of my spirit guide collection of spirit guides. It's a Beltane merfolk couple in here. Much of the jewelry I wear is enchanted. Let's see. Crust, 2 people waiting. The broccoli casserole. Yeah, Miranda comes in. I like this Make My Day apron. Make My Day, the Clint Eastwood thing. Didn't he just recently, is he still alive? Oh, I don't remember. But it is the time of year, whether he is or not, I'm not going to go look it up, where, passed on loved ones are around. Maybe people who are getting ready to transition are thinking about, reviewing their lives, and those people could pop in, their higher selves could pop into your reality. Jakar comes back, so he's finally made it back to Rockaway Point, to Crust, to his woman. I don't know what's going on with the car. So maybe some of you have a car and you're like, oh, this car, why did I ever get this car? It just doesn't suit me anymore. So it could be anything. It could be a car, it could be a house, it could be a job. This could be a time this week where you're kind of like, why? Maybe because you're raising in frequency, your vibration's raising along with the vibration of the planet. It could be like, these things no longer resonate or no longer suit me anymore. Why did I think I wanted this sport? Or like this, why did I think I want this? Because typically cars with no leg room and low ceilings are like little sports cars made for one, maybe 2 people, and no room in the back for anybody else, and no trunk space and all that. And it's kind of like, maybe some of you are upgrading to a bigger family, or something where that little E-Type Jag is not gonna work when you've got 5 people in your house. Oh god, I think they used to be my mom's favorite car. See what I'm telling you, spirit guide says she's on the other side. E-Type Jags, I see that car in an E-Type Jag, but then what happens with the other 4 people that need to go somewhere? I always said I would have 2 cars. I used to have, actually, at one point I had 3 cars. I always said I would have my adventure car for everybody, like a family car. Because I bought a car specifically because I had 2 dogs at the time and I had to tout 2 dogs around to the vet, and the vet was really far. And so I had a big hatchback with room, and I've always had big dogs. I've never had little small dogs. I've always typically had boxers, but this time I don't have a boxer, but I used to have I've had many, many boxers. And this dog that I have now, oh my gosh. Anyway, actually, honestly, see, I'm going to diatribe. Actually, this morning I was walking the dog, and I was like, how many walks have we had together? And I was like, she's a little over 5 years old now, and I've had her since she was probably she wasn't 8 weeks old. She was probably more like 5 weeks old when the people I got her from said that she was 8 weeks old, and she was fitting in my hand like this, and she couldn't even eat anything regular. She had to be fed with a bottle. That's a whole other story. Really research what you're buying out there, because this was a place that was a puppy mill that was disguised as not a puppy mill. But when I drove 500 miles to pick up my dog, it was very clear, not from the place, but it was very clear that the animal I was getting was not the animal. It was the animal, but it was advertised as something that it was not. So watch out for stuff like that. I think that's coming up too a lot, like reading contracts, paying attention to what you're buying before you press purchase, really being clear on what you're getting, because nothing that comes up during a show, the guides always have me bring in examples, even if they're personal. Well, what else do I have to go by, right? Personal examples. I don't read the news and all that, but the personal examples that come up for a reason as metaphors for things for you to take a look at. But that was one with the dog. But I was like, how many walks have we been on? And it was like, well, we go on 3 walks a day. And so times, I think by 5 years, I was like, oh, we've been on over 5,000 walks together. And I still get apprehensive when I take my dog out every time. I don't know why I get this little bit of anxiety every time I have to walk my dog. It's just, we're both like, I don't know what's going on with us, but she's very reactive, and it's like, oh, don't let her like jump out at people and bark. And we've been working on that so hard, but I was like, after 5,000 walks, and this is how far we've come, we still have work to do. It's like a lifelong project. So maybe you've got some sort of lifelong project like that, where you're like, oh my God, how many times have I done this thing? I'm going to be doing it for the rest of my life. And maybe that is, that is the whole premise too of like, what is it? Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Because it's like, well, your definition of enlightenment, whatever that is for you. I'm high vibe, my chakras are big, or I don't know, I meditate every day, or I have love in my, I don't know, my heart chakra is opening, or I've done all this healing work on myself. And it doesn't negate the fact that you still gotta like get up every day and go brush your teeth and take a bath and do your daily chores, take your dog out. It's like none of that's gonna change unless you have some sort of like magical person that comes in and they couldn't like brush your somebody brush your teeth for you. Well, I don't know if I would want that. Oh my God, that's crazy. Dog walking, I would prefer some assistance with that. Don't always have to be the one to be available 3 times a day to take my dog out, because my dog needs a lot of mental stimulation, or else, who knows what's going to happen around my house. But I would like help with some of those things. But yeah, brushing your teeth and taking a bath. I don't know, unless you're really old, maybe you're really young, like a baby. Or maybe you do have a baby coming, or a baby. Oh, maybe you're planning for a baby coming. That when I looked at it, was talking about sheep having babies. So, oh God, yeah, look out. I would never want to relive that again. One kid, I had always said my entire life, always, that I was never going to have any kids. Never, ever, ever. I remember swearing, a friend of mine, she was like, never, never, never. And we were like, never going to have any kids. And then there came a point, was I late 30s? I don't know. It was very bizarre. But I met someone, and within like 6 months, they were like, let's have a kid. And I was like, okay. And then I had my son. I was like, oh my God, what the hell just happened? I was like blindsided by this like bizarre person. And of course, my son is like very, very, very important part of my journey. But yeah, so I guess it's like never say never. Although to this day, I even told him, I'm like, still never want to do that like ever again. Thank you very much. And we always marvel at the people that can have so many kids. I just don't know how. One was, I told him, I love you, but not ever again. And I just keep saying that. I'm gonna let that keep going out there. Although I can say, I'm talking about like kids from my body kind of kids. Like if someone came along and had like a really cute kid, that would be totally a different story. Or if my son had like grandkids, that's something I would really welcome, like the family, but like kids coming out of my body, not happening ever again. That was the most draining, hard, horrible thing ever to happen to my physical self. I don't know. Anyway, that's definitely diatribing. But yeah, so I have to be very specific about that, because if somebody came along and said like, hey, hey, and I have, like a little girl, a little boy, or I have some teenage kids or whatever, I would be open to that. But no. And babies, somebody else can have babies, like grandkids, and I'll hand them back to their parents. Why did I go down that road? I have no idea. It was all about Dakar getting out of his E-Type Jag and wishing he had a different car. And talking about families. Okay, and then at the end we have this weird Mindy Smatherton. She's the author of Flying Potion, the boring book that Dakar was reading. So maybe there's something there about... I don't want to say fated meetings, maybe fated meetings. Is Mindy Smatherton a fated meeting for Dakar? I don't think so. I think she's our antagonist here in the way of like, I'm going to have to get rid of Abigail Smile, because as far as I know, and as far as they show me, Abigail and Dakar are like the ones for each other. And I don't think, and Dakar was not impressed with Mindy Smatherton's book Flying Potion, even though he did read 70 something pages of it. So who knows what's going on there? Maybe there is something happening. I don't know, because I don't look that far ahead. I don't plan books and chapters and all that. So next Sunday, we'll see what's going on. Who is Mindy Smatherton to Dakar? We don't know who she is or what her intentions are. And so maybe there is some sort of weird third party on the sidelines in your life right now who is trying to come between you and your person. I don't know who that person is, right? So pay attention to that. And maybe in your mind, you're like, oh, that third party person, I just say third party, but whoever, that other person has nothing on me, and I've already dealt with them. Maybe it's somebody from the past. I've already dealt with them. They can't get to me anymore. Maybe we have really strong boundaries around this person. Like, they don't get to me anymore. I've dealt with them. Maybe it is some sort of like ex partner or something, because I was talking about ex partners. Maybe it's somebody you had a kid with. These are all the examples that come up through this story, through the channeling. And maybe you're like, oh, my boundaries are really strong around this person. I've done a lot of work to like move this person as far out of my life as possible. But from that person's perspective, as in the case with Mindy Smatherton, maybe you've moved on to a new relationship or a new partner, a new person or something. But maybe the other person is still like, yeah, I've got it for you, baby. I'm coming back for you. I'm coming back for you, baby. And I'm going to do something to get rid of you, perky Abigail Smile, which in this case is your new person. So pay attention to that. I don't know. There's like a lot of like stuff still coming back from there's like a lot of this like nostalgia energy still out there. And so it seems like, don't be surprised if something from the past pops up and is like wanting you to take notice of it. And you're like, been there, done that, gone down that road. Your magic doesn't work for me anymore. Oh my God, that was a lot of talking. All right, anything else? I don't know. That was a lot. All right, you guys. I think that is all we have to share. That is more than enough for Bringers of the Light Sunday. So I want to thank you all so much for joining me here. And we will see you all again soon, somewhere in the astrals, at TLC for the Soul. Take care.
This episode has been brought to you by Buns and Such, Tessa Locke's premium bakery and workout bar. Visit anytime during the week and enjoy a free mini workout session and chocolate-filled donut. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you again soon.